Hi, I'm Jamie, and I have too many unfinished projects. I knit, crochet, paint, weave, embroider, spin, make miniatures. Pile of clothing to alter and repair. Ends that I have to weave in, and clothing that I want to sew. And a collection of kits from thrift stores that I want to make. So grab a whip with me and sit a while and let's get some stuff done.
Hey again, my unwitting accountability buddies. I am back for another project. It feels like it's been a little while, even though it, I guess, really hasn't. The heat makes me so unmotivated to get anything done. So it's been a couple of days since I've done anything. So it's time to work on the next project. And as I've talked about a couple of times, it is going to be the retro yarn Bolero sweater. And this is it. I need to heat that up so it relaxes. I have these cute little buttonholes already done on one side, and I did all the way up to the neck. It is going to be a higher neck and part of the sleeve on one side, but the other side has nothing, and the back. On this one, I wasn't smart enough to write down like all the stitches and everything, so I'll need to figure that out and the distance that I went, but I definitely was smart enough to keep my needles in there for the first time, it feels like, in a long time. So I know what one I'm going to use. And so again, I will mirror this in the front. I'm doing a contrasting color for the edging, and then sew that up, and then just do across the back. I'm very bad at gauging how much yarn I'm going to need. So I'm going to assume that this will be enough to do the rest of it, and then I know I have enough trim. It's another big honker of them. So let's show you the sweater and the yarn, and let's see what I'm working with. I have not seen this label on Caron in a long time, or actually ever. Originally, it was $1.29, now 66 cents. I actually ended up buying these skeins for $1 a piece at a thrift shop, but that kind of cracks me up. The color is Country Look Ombre, and it's just a standard worsted weight acrylic. But yeah, 66 cents. Look at that. It's pretty. It has some brown, some rust, blues, and beige. Beige is not always my color, but I loved everything else that was in it. And then I have another big twist. I do not know where the label for this one is, but it's just a big twist, kind of. I would describe it as a denim blue. And then I've pretty much just done a garter stitch for all of the trim. That's interesting. I wonder what I did there. Anyways, a garter stitch for all the trim, and then a stockinette down below. It was in the round. I think it translated, well, along around the entire body, back and forth. And I think that translated pretty well from that portion to the shorter portion. You can see where it's doing some nice pooling up here though. And that's really pretty, but it's not so very different from what was going on down here, which actually looks like it was doing a little bit of pooling as well. And so this side I'm going to put the buttons on, but I've got to figure out like where I stopped here and count up. And so I've got to figure out all of these rows. I have to figure out how many stitches over here on the side that I put in, how many stitches I cut in here. And because I have this going on a bunch of different places, I just made these kind of little, I don't know what they're called, but just a little something. It's just a toilet paper roll to take bits of it off, and that way I can just hold it off, hold it separately, and I can continue to keep working without trying to do this off of both ends and getting it all mixed up. So it does make it a little bit easier. Okay, so I know, at least with a variegated, it's really nice. I can count down from the blue, from that blue. Makes it easy to see that that's where I ended. Otherwise, sometimes I find it questionable to keep count, because as we know, I really don't know. Like I was one class shy of a math minor. I'm not quite sure why I have so much trouble with math sometimes. I think my brain just fried out on it a long time ago, and it just doesn't want to work anymore. So I'm just gonna count up from the bottom and then count the other side. Wait a minute. No, that's not working because I'm already flat on the other side. I need to follow that blue line over, turns beige, turns brown, turns rust, and then count up from there to get where the collar ends. See, I struggle. And I really hope that makes some people feel better about what they're doing. I know it does when I watch the lady who does the vintage crochet and she's struggling with things. It's like sometimes our brains don't always snap too, right? It's interesting. So I have to go up 28 more rows before I do anything else. So now I'm going to count over what I did here. I believe it's 24 if I remember right. My memory, though, as we well know, might not be the best, so I'm going to check out that one. $18, not 24. Okay. Now I need to count over from the body to the edge of the sleeve to double check what that one is. Maybe that one's 24. We'll see. So I'll know what to cast on the other side. $25. I was close. So this will be 25 to there. That's 6 inches, so technically this is 21. Okay, now from that point, I'm going to count up the total sleeve length, this portion of it, and see how many rows. 34, 34, and one bind off. I don't bind off at 34, I do 34, and then I bind off. Now I'm going to check, are there any other measurements that I need for the back of it? I don't think so. I think I can wing a big portion of it. Okay, so I will need to count across this then too, because as we learned from the sunset sweater fail, I do need to make sure I have enough room in the back so it's not pulling everything up this way, and then I'm just strangled because this is going to be a higher neck. I'm planning to square off hopefully right up in here. So I think that that is going to be my last measurement that I need. Hopefully, doubtfully. Just saw that I dropped a stitch. Great, I'm gonna have to pick that back up, especially since I bound it off. Good. Glad I caught it now instead of later though. So we'll go down a little bit further. This is your guys' note to self to write this all down. I have done it in the past. Don't know why I didn't do it with this one. I don't know why I thought I would keep it in my head when I know I can't do that. So anyways, my next decision to make, I guess, is I can go across the back and completely do the back. I might not have enough room, you know, for the front, and I could probably do like some stripes on the front as a little interesting design, or I can do the front completely, and then I can do possibly stripes on the back as an interesting design. I'm not sure which one I'll do. Well, I'm supposed to be on day 2 of working on that sweater. I did not get very far last night. Again, the heat just makes me unmotivated. So I might have essentially just stared at my phone for most of the evening. I did get some work done. It's hard to see because I'm doing everything in the round still, or have it attached in the round. But I cast on the little bit for the sleeve, and so now I'm doing back and forth until I hit until I hit this collar portion. So essentially I'm doing this part on the other side, and I got about halfway there, and then I divide out that. I probably could have gotten this whole entire portion done of the other side had I not broken the rule I made for myself, which is starting another project. I had thrifted a whole bunch of rug yarn, and it'll be just a little rug for like in front of the sink, but and then I was there, and I pretty much just need to do the trim around it because I've used up almost all of the yarn that was in the big bag from the thrift shop. But then I felt guilty for not working on the project I'm supposed to be working on. So of course I put it down unfinished so I can go back to the Bolero. I have a problem. Do I have ADHD? I've got other things going on, but maybe that's another one that I need to look at. Yay! Anyways, I don't think I can talk through a lot of it because it is hot in here, like hot to the point that I started sweating a little bit. But that's no surprise to anyone who knows me. So I'm going to turn back on the box fan that I have at the end of the couch that is just blowing straight at me. And I am going to start working on the sweater again. And fingers crossed. Okay, just in time for my bedtime. I finished the other front placket here. Lapel, placket, whatever. Anyways, so I've got it's another square pattern. I swear I can do much fancier stuff than this. This is just what I think I get bored with and sit down a lot faster than fancier things. Anyways, the pooling on this side doesn't look as fun as that side, but got my little kind of like intarsia cuffs going on each side, my squared off collar that I really like, and then I have the lower part of the back done. I just need to get the upper part of the back done. It looks like before I do that, I need to go correct a stitch that I skipped here. Just unchain it down and then chain it back up. But anyways, I'm really pleased. I get to go to bed with a sense of accomplishment. Frustrates me that I opted to randomly work on another project. Otherwise, I can guarantee you that I probably would be almost 100% done with the sweater. Okay, so I am now on day 3 of working on the little Bolero. I have a little bit of time right now to do it before I take off. I feel like I'm running all over the place lately, and it's just going to continue. Front side done. And I just essentially need to do this section on the back. So I'm going to do that. I need to do a little bit of neck shaping on the back, checking out how high this is up. I think I'm probably going to do the neck shape at about the same height. So 28 rows here and then 34 rows here, and then attach it. I have to cast on for the bottom of the sleeves, but I think I'm just going to use a crochet hook and pull loops through here. That is less seaming that I'm going to have to do, which always makes me happy to have to do less seaming, hence the fail sweater from earlier with all the seaming in it that I have to completely undo. So that is not something I care to do. And then I have my massive bin of buttons to figure out what buttons I want to put down the front. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this done today because we just got a surprise message from a friend of ours who's up from out of town for the night only. And I'd hoped to be able to work on this tonight and finish it up, but we'll see. Maybe by the end of the weekend, I'll have it done. Of course, maybe I'm just going to knit super duper fast and I'll be done at nothing flat. Don't guarantee it. I'm also worried that I don't have enough of this yarn, of the country ombre vintage Caron yarn to, I say that, I forget that it's only been a few minutes for you. Yet it has been a few days for me. So I get repetitive thinking that you haven't seen it in a few days, but it's only been a few minutes. Anyways, ramble on. I'm not sure if I have enough of this to get going all the way across the back. I might. I'm very bad at gauging yarn distances. Is that a surprise to anybody? And then perfect timing on the bobbins yesterday. I used them up. So number one, I'm going to have to resupply my little toilet paper roll. I just kind of wanted to show you that underarm with looping it through with the crochet hook like that. I mean, yes, there's a little jump over here so I can get 6 and 6 for some reason, but whatever, you know, but it's pretty seamless. It's pretty nice. And then if we look on the inside, right? And now I don't have to worry about lining anything up and sewing it up later. It's kind of nice because, oh, me sewing things up later. All right, I might have a few to choose from. I've got so many buttons. I've inherited some. D-rings, don't need D-rings. I have purchased a bunch at garage sales, stuff I don't need. So I'm going to dig through this box, these boxes, and see if I can find 5 that I like to go on this, and we'll see how it goes. I have it narrowed down to these 3. I think I like this kind of cat's eye one a lot more than the rest of them. I like both of these as well, and since there's more of these and only 5 of each of these, I'm going to say no to that one. That burl wood is really pretty, but I like those better. So I'm going to take both of these sets with me, and I'm going to decide what I like later. Anyways, hi! So on this Bolero, it is several days later than when I started. I was able to work on it for a while, but then I got to a stopping point just because it was time to go camping. So I decided to go camping instead of continue working on this. And then things got really busy at work, and staying late, you know, you just don't have time sometimes. But anyways, I finished the knitting portion of it. So we are now shaped into a sweater. And I really should have picked this up last night. I did have some time last night, but I don't know, whatever. So we're going to sew it together, and then I'll try it on. I did end up running out of the ombre fabric, so I just put the trim across so it'll be like on the shoulder. I'm hoping a little bit of extra decoration. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. The garter stitch is always wider than a stockinette, so it feels really wide comparatively. But I'm just gonna sew it up, and I'll be right back. Finally done sewing in all the ends. You wouldn't think there would be so many ends on this, but trust me, there were. And on top of that, I just realized I was supposed to go back and fix this one stitch where I picked up 2 loops. You can even see right there. Picked up 2 loops. Did I remember? No, I did not. I am a ridiculous human being sometimes, but whatever. Now I know that this is going to curl. I'm going to have to use some heat to block it out to make sure things lay straight. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Shoot. My dropped stitch that I need to fix still, but the big question is, does it fit? And it does. It does. It's not that short, it's a little short, that's okay. So now I'm going to reinforce my buttonholes a little bit with some extra yarn left over. And that is my last button sewn on. This will be my last end woven in. It took me, what, about 2 hours this evening to complete this? Hour and a half. Hour and a half, which is nice. Which means I definitely could have finished this last night, but oh, laziness. Sometimes laziness just kicks in. Here we go. Snip, snip. I'm gonna put this on. But, oh my gosh, hold on, let me make this the most unflattering thing ever. Look at that. I went with the kind of brown metallic buttons because I really liked them a lot. I thought they added a nice pop to this. Reinforce the buttonholes with just some yarn, just some whip stitching around the hole to make sure it didn't pull too much or do too much of anything funky to it. Oh, that's kind of nice. I made a square collar, both front and back. I'm curious to see how the back looks. I think this is cute with this little decorative there because I ran out of the ombre. Yes, yes. All right, here we go. Here's how it looks. Disregard the mismatching shirt underneath. I thought it would be a little bit more Bolero, but it's not. It hits right slightly above the true waist, which is good because, I don't know, I don't need just a chest warmer on. And check out those buttons. Aren't those fun? I almost didn't go with them because I had 6 and I only had 5 buttonholes. And I had 5 of the metallic woven ones, but I just kind of thought this would be more fun. Anyways, kind of like it. Glad I'm done with it. It'll go in the stash of stuff that I've already made until the weather cools down, and then I'll start bringing it out and wearing it. Yeah, I really like this thrift store find of yarn. And yeah, it's got great pooling on it. Look at that. It's fantastic. Anyways, I hope you are grabbing some of your whips and finishing them, or at least making some progress on them, because even if you sit down for the length of one of the videos, 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, that's still more progress that's being made on them than if they're just sitting down in a pile and not doing anything. But have a good night. I'll see you guys later.